Well, hello there, YouTube. And welcome to that is not bad at all today. 39, I think it was 39 yesterday too. 39 degree Thursday the 12th of December. We'll get it right today. But it was raining. It's supposed to rain, I think, most of the day. But for the last hour or so, it hasn't been raining. It's not bad. Love the way the clouds in the mountains over there look. It's always a very greeting thing for me in the morning. Knowing the cameras, that probably doesn't even show up very good. But anyway, I'm on the Action 5 Pro today because it's supposed to be all rainy. Not that the iPhone isn't waterproof by itself, but I don't know. Sometimes you just like to use an action camera just to be different. But anyway, let's get this day going. Y'all come on along. We'll see what I was just looking at the fog in those trees. And I'm like, I didn't know there's any fog out here. Get rattling on and realize your mouth ain't awake yet. All right, let's roll on to work. Well, Mama,
Yes, sir.
it's 40 degrees here in Van Chulo. Light misty rain, not bad at all. I think the end of the week's gonna end up wet.
I think so.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wetting. The guy's dropping off a XR 150L, or is it XL? The 150 that I like.
Yeah.
Feels like a Grom. That's a really nice little dual sport.
Yeah, those are cute.
Been around forever and hasn't changed. I love it.
Yep.
Still works.
Yeah.
But Mama,
Yes, sir.
let's go on in there and bust out a Thursday.
All right, sounds like a
Got
plan.
2 more of the day, or of the week anyway.
Yeah, just 2 more.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on in there and get it done.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
So after Kelly and I got home, we were taking stuff out of the car, and she got some Amazon stuff that excuse me, that showed up. And so I look back and I go, what is in this? It looks like a clear bag. It didn't look like it was big enough. Well, that liter or 4-liter jug of Motor X 1550 had showed up. I go, what the heck? You said it wasn't even, it showed it hadn't even shipped yet, or it was supposed to be here like today or whatever. No, we received it yesterday. Oh, here's a picture of it. There she is. So I'm good for one oil change anyway. Still got to get 300 and something miles on it, I think, somewhere around there. I'll look at my phone to keep track of it. But this is the one that has the starter gear set, which is all behind the transmission cover. It's gonna be a big one. That's not that big. I haven't done anything like that since I was at school. So, and we had engine stands and all the cool stuff for it. But this will be our last, unless, like I say, until January 31st, if we, sell something that we have on hand and something needs to be done to it. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys too. I didn't look at the bulletin all the way, and the little rubber dots they wanted to put on this thing just didn't make any sense to me. They showed these little rubber dots that go right there. Well, there's like a second part to it. It's a rubber cover that goes over that, so that the GSAs, because the door goes too far. It just bewilders me that they didn't make it like this, where it has a stopper. Maybe something, probably the plans were in motion and they changed something. But yeah, and the GSAs have a colored door, so it goes boom, comes right up and hits the back of the handlebar clamps. But this rubber boot looks like hidden underneath. There's a couple of places to put zip ties on it, and then you put the little dots in there. I guess if they're sitting, I don't know. I'll have to put one on one. Both of the GSAs that we have out there have the bulletin. Initially, the racing blue one, which I still don't know if it's a rally or I don't know. A lot of times those are, that have the rally or the trophy or something like that to it. I need to just dig into the VIN inquiry a little farther. But yeah, both of those have at first the racing blue one did not have the bulletin, only the red one did. And now I looked again, and now it's there. It's weird. I guess that's how you deal with your license plate bolts. Some zippy zip ties. But yeah, the old motor is going to get yard armed out of this thing. So what I'm going to do, there's a way I can open up, you know, the bulletin, or not the bulletin, but the manual in air. It's after the fact, you know, it's pictures or thumbnails are really small, and the description can be weird because the description can go from I got that bulletin somewhere. It's kind of funny, the bulletin for doing those top cases that I was doing last week, I think it was. I had to use air because if you print the bulletin, and this is what happens, like what I'm talking about, I'm gonna print the whole procedure, and I'm not gonna actually print it. I'm gonna save it as a PDF. I'm gonna print it, but use a PDF as my printer generator. So I'll have it. But a lot of times when you print it like that, I cannot explain to you why, because you read it, the bulletin on the computer, and it's all in English, and then the printed version, it'll be English, German, and just like, you know, you got to break out your Google Translate, select the camera, and hold your phone over it, and it'll translate it for you. I mean, it's no big deal, but it's just more convenient to have it all in English. Listen, somebody's been in here. Oh, that was me. I was gonna say he's got stuff hanging there, but that's because the sensor wire plugs in next to the O2 sensor wire plugs in next to the starter, which is out of it. Anyway, I'm gonna go upstairs and get my Java, or Kelly's Java, and my cider. You guys ever wonder what it is? And it's hard to find these things. I love specifically this brand, Alpine Spice Apple Cider, sugar-free. The non-sugar-free is so sweet that it is nasty sweet. This smells really good and tastes really good. I have 2 of them a day. They just make a little coffee cup thing. And usually I go up there and make Kelly's, get her a cup of coffee, make my little cider, and then while we're catching up, doing our morning catch up, I end up making the second one, and that's it for the day. It's like my 2 little cups of coffee, which literally, before, you know, I had the stroke, it was 2 cups of coffee that I would have here. But anyway. Oh, that's not BMW. Oh, it's Chevy brand. Boy, those aren't. Of course, the bags are plastic. Those definitely aren't as robust as the BMW stuff. Looks like it's well made though. But the other bags will be plastic. Man, have you guys ever taken these bolts out for the passenger peg stays? They use that blue micro encapsulated Loctite on the bolts. Dude, that thing is just as well be welded in there. It is so hard to get them bolts out. I just can't imagine people at home doing those things. I got, you know, long wrenches and things, very, you know, high quality Torx bits. Use cheap torque bits on these things. You're in a world of hurt. But you can, if you got, because I got the little small the butane torch things, and just have them on a low heat and just roll that in the head of the bolt, and it'll allow you to go for a bit, and you got to keep hitting it with the heat because it you know, the chromoly steel and aluminum air that just knocks the heat right out of them, but it softens the Loctite. You can get them out. Somebody that tags their bolts. But what happens is, just as you see, the paint lines, the first time you change the tire or whatever, they're off. And they use some kind of a permanent paint that you can't get the stuff off. Torque it like you're supposed to, and you don't need to put paint dots on everything. You know, I literally have had customers do that on things to check to see if we actually, you know, did the job. Look, you can put a mark on that there too. Dude, this is just stuff that's not gonna go loose. It's a BMW thing. I'm telling you, it's a BMW thing. No one else does that. I mean, they'll go through and mark every bolt on it. If you torque it right the first time, I've never had a torqued bolt on a BMW for any motorcycle, literally any motorcycle, that has backed out. I've seen like accessory stuff where, you know, if you didn't lose Locktite, the vibrations and the gyrations would allow things to move, but the OEM parts on the bike, if it says use Locktite, use Locktite. If otherwise, torque it to specs, and she'll be waiting for you the next time you take it apart or whatever it is you're doing. It's funny. The funniest one is BRP using micro encapsulated Locktite on just about every single bolt. I think if you left most of the bolts loose on a Spyder, the bolt would never fall out. I mean, it goes down the road like a car. There's no buzzing or vibration on those things, but one thing you got to say, she's put together well. And most of the stuff on BMWs are the same way. The only things that aren't is, you know, like body panel stuff, and a lot of these are as well, but some of them aren't. And they have the clip nuts that they use has kind of a resistance to them, so you don't need the Loctite on them because it's working like a self-locking nut, so to speak. Over time, you know, if the thing's been taken apart or it was taken apart and put back together, like out on the field and dirt was in there, that tends to soften the bite of that clip nut. Still, put them where they need to be. It's not going to come out. The one thing you got to watch for, and BRP can actually do this to you, is if a Loctited bolt, you know, the micro encapsulated, it's got the Loctite on the bolt. I'm just thinking if I got something here we go, like this. That's the blue stuff that BMW uses on those passenger bolts. This is a recall kit. This actually belongs to that bike. You remember I used his drive shaft on another one by mistake, but he had the tranny thing anyway, and I got the new drive shaft over there already. So this goes to his. And anyway, BRP will use those Loctited bolts, and they'll put them in a nylock nut. Well, that nylock nut, if you've ever, you shouldn't ever, but if you ever used a gun to take those things off, the nut or the threads of that bolt will literally burn you. It gets so hot. Those nylocks work very, very well. And but when you use a gun putting it in, which a lot of times the factory does, you know, they're assembling these things, zap, 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 you know, and they've got guns that stop at specific torques, and it's all planned out. Well, when you run a Loctited bolt through a nylock, it overheats the Loctite and turns that Loctite into like JB weld or an epoxy, and then bolts are locked in. You definitely have to use heat. Well, there's certain places you can't use heat, like on the Spyders, a lot of plastic stuff. The most common one was on those style ones, the heated passenger grips on the back on the older Spyders. They have it's going into plastic, and there's like 3 bolts or 2 that hold it up front. Well, if a heating element goes bad, or the worst thing, somebody lifts it with a hoist or something to take the rear tub off because they're doing it by themselves, if you put a tie down around that rubber, the rubber is loose on top of the heating elements, and it'll rip the rubber. Anyway, when you go to replace those are micro encapsulated bolts zapped in to a nylock. You can't get into the nut. It is a nightmare to get those. I mean, a simple, I think it's an hour job or something to put heated grips. If you got one of the old, they don't make them anymore, but the standard models that didn't have them, or somebody damaged one, you know, did your little prayer before you went to take it off that somebody didn't zap it in. Oh, and the other one too is in fact, that's the driver's backrest. There's nylock nuts in the seat and the bracket that holds the backrest. Some of the kits mistakenly came with micro encapsulated screws. Well, they would zap. People would put the nylock or the Locktite nuts into the nylocks in the seat. Well, somebody goes to take it off, like they're trading it in, and they want to take their backrest with them because they're crazy expensive. If somebody used a gun on them or something like that, because it's easy to take one of those angled electric guns, go zing, and zap them in there. But if it has Locktite on there, it takes those nuts and it gets hard. Well, the nuts are held in the little black plastic squares. I've showed you those before. Well, the nut goes gunk, 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 slips in there. The only way you can get it off is to take the seat cover off. It is a very, very expensive mistake. But I've gotten them out, slowly heating those things. You got to be tricky. You just got to take a soldering iron and hold it on the head of the bolt and just keep trying and try to transfer the heat in the bolt and soften that Loctite. Otherwise, you need a seat and another backrest kit, because you can't. I mean, you can drill and cut all you want, but you still can't. The seat is, you can save the backrest piece, can't save the seat. Not unless you take the seat cover apart. And it's never going to go back on the way it was. I don't know how they put them seat covers on, but you are never getting it back on correctly without folds, and it just looks bad. Anyway, we go get Kelly's coffee. She's probably went and got her coffee by now. I've been sitting down here jacking with y'all. I just pulled, before I went upstairs, pulled this out of my little stash. That's a little 6mm thread, 10mm outside thread nylock nut that's encapsulated in these little caps, and those snap into spots in the seat. Well, you run that Loctited bolt through that nylock, it overheats the Loctite, and now the nut will go click, 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 click in the little square, and you can't get it out. If you ever get these, if you get one of those kits and you have them at home, if you have one of the older Spyders, 2010 through 19, use a die or a wire brush, get the Loctite off, because the nylock is all you need. All right, gift of the gab this morning. So it turns out I was going through the details of this thing, and I don't know what I seen this when he was here last. The fender all shattered. We go, oh, it's just dirt. No, it's something on it. I thought it was a big scratch in the rim. I don't know, he ran into something at some point. It's got it zip tied in place. You gotta do what you gotta do. But for the Shift Assist Pro, there's a special tool that is used to remove it and install it. So, because essentially I'm taking the rear cover off and getting into because the transmission is back there, I'm basically getting to where the stator and the starter clutch is and stuff like that. But anyway, to get the transmission off the back, because it's going through, I got to take the front cover and clutch and everything off and pull it out. But I'm good. I'm fine with all that. But I didn't see the special tool for. I was going through the steps, and somehow or another I missed this thing. You go to a segment and you hit special tools, and I've got everything except for this little stand thing. But anyway, looking through, and because this one has Shift Assist Pro, some daggum tool that is used to basically pull it off and then press it back on, or vice versa. I forget the wording that BMW used. I haven't had to do that. I don't remember doing that in school. The ones we had at school probably didn't have shift assist pro, but it's got to be pulled off of the shift shaft. So anyway, as a special tool, it is available. It is here in the States, so we were able to order that. So fingers crossed. So I'm a little spooked at taking this thing apart until the morning when it actually physically gets ordered, and then so I'll tackle it. I was tinkering around with other stuff today, and here for a little bit there I was studying in detail, just step by step. I like to read through the instructions so it's kind of in my head before I start on something. Just makes it easier, because it's kind of, you remember stuff and it's floating in your head. But yeah, the fun thing about this thing is I got to take the right cylinder head off, like I was saying earlier. I got to drain the coolant on it, that's not the biggest deal, except for there's no drain. You essentially just yank a hose. I think there's some cylinder drains, if I remember right, to empty the cylinders out. But anyway, when you're going back together, you got to use a special tool you essentially vacuum the coolant into it, which is pretty odd, but it's actually pretty common with cars now too. There's even one of those vacuum coolant kits you can buy from Harbor Freight. It's not nowhere near as elaborate and sophisticated as the BMW one. I haven't had you test the coolant on these things, and there is no time period for replacing the coolant. It's just cooling the heads. But anyway, you test the coolant, it keeps testing good, and it basically, when it tests bad, that's when you change it. Some people have requested it to be changed. I had a guy that wanted the coolant change, and thank God we don't have to work on BMWs at all anymore, but the K13, the old K1200 LTs, the K12 and 1300S, the old the inline 4. Anyway, a guy wanted his coolant changed, and it's like 7 pages in the manual just covering a coolant change in that. I had to show him, the deal. I said, look, it's testing 100%. It's like somebody just poured it out of the bottle. It's very fresh. You do not need to worry about this. But anyway, so special tool. Hopefully it'll be on its way. Once I know that tool's coming, I'll get to as far as I can prior to doing that, and I'll just make space for it. Like I say, I'm gonna do it all on this Spyder table behind me, or Spyder lift it. A lot of times it's in the form of a table, and anyway, I'll do what I can. Go ahead and get the cylinder head taken apart and stuff like that. But anyway, it's not too long. I think we only got about an hour. What time is it now? Yeah, right at an hour left. Man, for some reason, I don't know, my feeble little mind, because we're, for the first time in almost 25 years that I've been working here, we're having Christmas Eve off. And what's funny about that is the day they announced that, I got a thing from some of the Harley shops around saying they're going to be closed on Christmas Eve. I thought, man, what a nice thing. And if you are here on Christmas Eve, you get out at like 1 or 2 at the latest, and it's literally a ghost town in here. And I mean, of all the years, I've always wondered, why in the world are we open on Christmas Eve? Now, back in the day when, it was a big thing that kids were getting their little 3-wheelers and their little dirt bikes and stuff like that. Of course, them things were full boat retail, about $400, the little Z50. Well, I bought a XR80 for my brother in, I don't know, 81, somewhere around there. No, it had to been, it was like 82 or 83. And it was like $400 for an XR80. But anyway, Christmas Eve was a big pickup night, so we would be there for, you know, folks to get off work and stuff. This is, you know, back in Longview and stuff, and get off work and pick up their kids' stuff, and, or whatever, you know, wives buying a dirt bike for their husband, or vice versa, things like that. So Christmas Eve was very festive and fun. You know, back in those days, you know, the stores open, and, you know, there'd be parties going on and with customers and all, you know. It was a different world back then. But anyway, the old triple black, triple dipple black. But on that, I'm gonna bounce. We'll head our way home. Hopefully it's just very light rain now. Hope it'll stay that way, and we'll go from there. I think I've stood around this BMW on everything I've done for the video today. That was a long time ago since I recorded all that. But anyway, we'll talk at you here in a bit. Thankfully, it's not doing anything. It's a very, very light mist. There's our 4 BMWs. I guess there might be one coming in that a customer is going to buy. They're taking advantage of dealer's cost on these things. Dealer's cost. It's crazy. Get yourself a 1300 GSA at an amazing deal. Anything we have here at the store, there's one last coming, and I think it's a triple black GSA, and looks like somebody's lined up to buy it. But anyway, dealer's cost. Man, if I was interested in one, I would be lining up. You're not gonna touch that. Not for a brand new one right out of the crate. Well, hello there, you two. Oh my. It was wet out, but didn't rain the whole time home, just wetness on the roads.
Which was nice.
And something got delivered in the mailbox, and they literally crammed that box in there that almost knocked the whole post thing off.
Oh, you should have seen me trying to get it.
Yeah. She just, you know,
Lord.
pull over, she zips out, grabs it, comes back, and I'm like, what is she doing here? But cars kept coming by. I thought, well, she was waiting on the cars, and I'm get my seatbelt off. I'm going to go out and see what's going on, and she's coming back. She was not happy about that. Because I had to crush the box enough that I could just get a hold of it to slide it out.
Yeah, you couldn't even grab a hold of nothing. It was just in there, solid.
Dang mail people.
You know.
I guess it's better than throwing it out in the yard here and the dog's getting it. But anyway, I think on that, I've yammered on enough that you're probably not even watching this. They go, I'm out. Next video.
Yeah.
But appreciate you guys watching. And on that, we will roll out.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Same smoke time, same smoke channel. Don't forget to give her a thumbs up, and you guys have an amazing Friday or Saturday.
Heck yeah. All right.
We see you in the morning.
Yeah, on Friday.
Right.
Man, I was messed up. I was thinking next week was Christmas.
Yeah, I got his hopes all
Yeah,
up.
I was all miscobbled there. So.
I'm not ready, so I need this extra week. Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually I do too, so I was stressing over that actually. So kind of bummer Christmas isn't sooner than I thought, but we got some time.
Yes.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.